All right, so you get a new face to MC the last part of this afternoon. I'm going to now introduce the judges for the Innovation Showdown, which is one of my favorite parts of every VentureBeat event. So please join me in welcoming Kobe Fuller, principal at Excel Partners. I'm just going to say all their names. Todd Rumberger, partner at Foley & Lardner. Rama Sekar, a principal at Norwest Venture Partners, and Caroline Tsay, a VP and GM of e-commerce at HP Software. Welcome, folks. You can give them a hand now. That's all right. All right, so here are the rules. We've got 9 companies, 9 contestants, and 4 of them are early stage and 5 are mid-stage competitors. They will be able to give each of them a 5-minute presentation. Videos are OK. They can show a video if they want. We like demos, but no PowerPoints. They can't go over the time limit. I'll be really strict about yelling at them, and I'm pretty sure that Amy will cut off their mics if they go over 5 minutes. And then, right? You can cut off their mics. All right. And then after 5 minutes, then the judges will get a couple minutes to ask questions. We'll try to keep the questions to 1 or 2 minutes, but if they're like squirrely or don't answer questions, then I've told the judges they can go a little bit over in order to get the answers they need. OK, we're also going to allow audience voting via text voting, and we'll display info on how to do that after you've seen all the presentations. So let's see. The judges will confer at the end, and then we're going to announce the winners at about 5 o'clock at the very end here. What are the prizes, you may wonder? Well, there's a trophy, a very cool trophy. It's not out here right now, but we'll show it to you later. We're obviously going to publish a story announcing the winners on VentureBeat.com, so you get the publicity. And then you also get a free pass to the VentureBeat event of your choice. And the order of presentation is alphabetical. Nothing up our sleeves. We just went by their names. So we will start off with the 4 early stage companies first. And the first one to come up is DocSend. Please welcome Russ Hedleston.
Hi, everyone. I'm Russ Hedleston, CEO at DocSend. And when we go to career fairs, sometimes we'll get doctors coming up and asking us questions. And then we figured after a while, we have to clarify, like, nope, we actually send documents, not doctors. And then they look very sad, and then they walk away. So we send documents. I've worked at Microsoft and Dropbox, and I just love documents. What we do is we turn documents into more effective communication tools. We do that by giving you a lot of data and a lot of control. So as you can see here, this is your dashboard. It's pretty simple. You put your documents into DocSend, and then from there, you control them and send out links to them. So here we can see recent visits, which links I've sent out are doing well, and visits over time. This is a demo account, so there's not a ton of activity here. So let's just dive right into this proposal. So just get out ahead of one question. We get used in a wide variety of scenarios. So I'm going through a sales example, but we have a lot of people in finance use us. We have a lot of people in marketing. We have a lot of people fundraising, investor relations. It's really across the board. It's pretty awesome to see the breadth of document usage. So in this example, this particular owner of the account, Don Draper, has a Super Bowl proposal. And he has sent his document out to 6 different firms that you can see here. Each time he sends it, he just copies and pastes the link into an email. Now, this is awesome. Let's just say he did this 3 days ago and he comes back right now. We can clearly see what's actually going on here. United Airlines, American Airlines, TWA, none of them really care. That's not a great sign. Clicking through on Northwest Airlines, we can see one person, Lisa, looked at the document. Awesome. 2 minutes, went through the whole thing. And here I can actually dig into what she spent time viewing. So people become very smart when they use our product, and they'll segment it out by pages, and then they can use that to gauge interest. And then in the call or the conversation, they actually know what to focus on. So same thing with Pan Am, another view, but this one, only 25%, 7 seconds. Both from salespeople and startups that are fundraising, I love to see their reaction when they'll send out their pitch deck or their sales deck, and they'll be like, I spent hours on that. And they only looked at it for 2 minutes on average. It's not very much time. So 2 minutes is actually a pretty good view. Here, 7 seconds, clearly not. Now this last one, Eastern Airlines, this is what you want to see. So another thing is just re-engagement over time as people come back to look at your content. It's a really big indicator. So here we can see and look through the whole thing. And then we can also see what she's connected on, where she's connecting from. And we can see that she sent it to 3 of her colleagues. So this is awesome. This actually tells Dawn who to follow up with, who's involved in the sales process, and what they're actually interested in. It really changes the game. Another thing that people really like doing with this is, let's just say this person, Peter. What has Peter been doing in everything I've sent Peter over some past period of time? So I can just search for Peter and look at everything that's happened to Peter. So this is everything that Peter has done. Turns out there's another Peter, also at a different company. But in addition to going through the proposal, he actually went through all 3 case studies as well that I had sent over to this person. So not for as much time, but that's really promising. Another thing we see companies do is that in DocSend documents, they'll put more DocSend links in, and then you actually get this path and history of everything everyone's ever done. So you can just replace a lot of what you'd have up on your website with documents and just completely remove your engineering team from the whole flow. In terms of how you get the documents in, it's pretty straightforward. You can import them from wherever they happen to be, Box, Dropbox, and then you can organize them into folders and drag them around. So some of the things coming up next that we're going to do, because this is just for the individual, we're going to enable this for the entire team so you can collaborate across your team. As a marketer, you never have to worry if your salespeople are using the right document. You update it in DocSend. Everyone has the latest version. Every link you've ever sent points to the latest version. And then you can actually dig into the aggregate stats around what people are engaging with. Is this version better than last year's version? So it really just changes the game in terms of what to focus on, what content's working, and what content's not. It's actually kind of amazing that documents are this last final black hole that no one knows what's going on with them, and they spend so much time on them. So yeah, hope you all will give DocSend a try in the future.
So what's your pricing model?
So it's freemium. There's a free plan, and then there is a pro and an enterprise. And the pro is for unlimited usage and has the team features. So if you're a small team of 3 to 20 or 30 people, you can all collaborate around your content in DocSend and use it as your kind of production repository for documents. And that's priced at $25 a month per user.
Do you have a sales strategy now in terms of how you're trying to penetrate?
Yeah, so it's easy to start from the bottom up. So what we've done is we've partnered with a bunch of incubators and VCs and given it to their companies for free to use on fundraising, which is a great use case. And then as soon as those companies become a little bit bigger and they have sales teams, then they just start using us. We've also seen a lot of viral spread amongst companies. So if someone goes into a new company, they end up pulling your product in. And then there's also a lot of natural virality with just sending around DocSend links. So we have a huge database of company email addresses we've gotten, tens of thousands. And so actually one of our next hires is a salesperson to go through that.
All right. Go ahead.
In your demo, I don't know if I missed this, but are you doing anything around actual document within the document and seeing what people are reading through? Are you beaconing any of that to see not only engagement of how much time they spent, but beyond that, how are they engaging inside?
Yeah, so we can see, you can actually see what everyone has clicked on inside of a document. So if you put the different links in there, then that data is all available. So I think, no, this one doesn't have it, but it'll show beneath the visit everything that they clicked on inside of the document and time spent by page. So in the viewer experience, you just flip through pages, and so that way we actually know that they were on this page or that page.
OK, fantastic. Thank you very much. All right, our next contestant is Docs IQ. Please welcome Max Cantor.
Hi, thank you to VentureBeat, judges, audience for coming today. I don't have a laptop, so I'm just going to stand free. So to the audience, do you want to know how your marketing content, especially documents, are performing? Do you want to use that content to generate more engaged leads and have more precise lead scoring? And do you want quantified ROI, return on your investment, from making that content? Now, do you want all of this? Do you want to change your current content creation workflow? No. Do you want to use engineering man-hours? Of course not. So DocsIQ. What is DocsIQ? How did we build it so fast? And why is it exploding? So DocsIQ, similar to DocSend, takes your marketing content, your documents, displays them in a beautiful HTML5 reader. And let's take a look at that reader. So here's the reader. We make many different layouts available. It's up to the sender. You can have a vertical layout, horizontal scrolling, magazine, flipbook layout. It's up to you as a sender to control your content. What we're really targeting is that the reader has an experience that's as good or better than a PDF. We don't want them clicking download, and then you kind of lose the interaction a bit. So we track how far into the page they're reading, what they're clicking on, text they're selecting. Are they forwarding this to a friend? We track all of that and make it available to you. We integrate with HubSpot, Marketo, also MailChimp, and Twitter lead gen cards. We've also noticed that increasingly technical marketers demand low-level API access, and we provide that. So for us, there's 3 legs of the stool. You can access your data on our dashboard, via your marketing automation system, or the API. All of them are equally well supported. So how did we build this so fast? We're 2 technical founders, 2 engineers, and we went from idea to product, customers, and revenue in 5 months. So this isn't something that we hacked together in Node.js or Ruby on Rails. We kind of have a secret weapon called Haskell. I'm going to put on my engineering hat a little bit here, but Haskell is a very strict type-safe language. Much like Apple's new Swift project, it makes entire classes of programming mistakes impossible. It lets us much more quickly write correct, highly performant code. To paraphrase some friends of ours, our mantra is move fast, but don't break things. So why is this exploding? As we've seen time and time again today, data drives marketing. Unfortunately, content engagement has been a hole in the data ecosystem. So many marketing automation systems and users will drop a user into a PDF, and then they lack any kind of engagement data. We solve that. That's why we've got great marquee customers that we're happy to announce. Visually, which is a beautiful content marketplace. You saw one of their white papers in our video. One login for a single sign-on in the enterprise. Wise.io, which is great lead scoring that complements our product quite nicely. And something else I can't quite talk about. So that is DocsIQ. So what's the future for DocsIQ? Obviously, there's a world beyond just documents. All marketing content, we think, can do a better job of improving your lead scoring and increasing your lead capture. Videos, microsites, landing pages, that's all in our future, and we're happy to talk about our roadmap, and we're really excited to be here. So thank you, and we're DocsIQ.
Go
Nice
for it.
job. I think you fit a nice gap between downloading a white paper and then that black box that it kind of goes into before you can properly qualify a lead. I'm wondering though, you're converting PDF files. Is there any gotchas on converting the files? Are there things that might formatting gets messed up? And what are the gotchas your customers should know about?
Sure. So that's a challenge. First of all, I want to thank you for reading some content on our website a few days ago. We saw you fill out our lead form, so dog fooding our own product. Honestly, we had our own stack that would generate the assets, but we're not a document company. We're actually using Box Viewer API now, and they've done an amazing job. We can, if they take it down, we'll put our own stack up, but right now, it's as nice as a PDF. We haven't seen any issues in the last couple of months.
What are some key signals you're seeing out of the platform that are helping really for lead scoring that they're not getting out of Marketo and stuff? Like, what are you seeing any sort of current customers find a couple 1 or 2 key variables that you're extracting out that's helping in a material way?
Sure. The key thing is obviously how much time they're spending, how deeply they're getting into the page, and how much they're passing this on. Right? A big use for white papers inside of marketing is not just inbound lead gen, but creating heroes and champions within your customers' organizations. So when people start forwarding content on, and you see the document you sent to one purchasing manager getting spread around an organization, that's a hugely positive signal.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. All right. Our next contestant is actually a finalist who was voted in by the audience. Somebody who was out there in the nest, and you guys using Bizzabo cast your votes and actually got this company on stage here. So you did this, audience. Thank you. Please welcome Gauge in Richard Dim. Oh, he snuck past me. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. And as soon as I unlock the computer I'm using, we'll be all set. While I'm starting, let me also add my thanks to all of you who voted for us. We did the old-fashioned way, which is kind of cool. So while I'm doing this, let me say that what Gaugin does, we help salespeople sell more by helping them understand when and why to call on a prospect. What's the perfect time? So if you believe that cold calling is dead, which I think most of us either think it is or should be, we're addressing that one. So just bear with me for 1 second here. Okay, we'll try it again. And I'm using up my valuable time, which is killing me.
Got a high level of security on this.
Yeah, I'll say. Luckily, I've got the computer owner here. Let's see. Continuing to talk while we're sitting up. Let me say that, as I said, we help salespeople sell more by knowing when and why to call. At the end of the day, we're an AI company. So the technology is all based on AI. Our founders came out of the AI world. So think of it this way. Thank you. Thanks, Jim. It's pretty heavy-duty technology behind the covers. We're selling a product. We're providing a product to salespeople, which means it's got to be easy to use, right? Salespeople are all about the moment, moving very quickly. What you're seeing right now is the screen from Gaugin for Salesforce. Gaugin is available on the web. Gaugin is available for mobile. Both are free. Our for-sale product today is a Salesforce product. What you're looking at is our main screen, and you're looking at what we call our overview. Notice down the middle here, there are stories. We help salespeople sell more by identifying what we call trigger-based events, and these are news events. What AI does for us is enable us not only to cover media, not only to cover social, but probably most importantly to crawl websites. Right? So if you're a small company, we all want to get a lot of attention, but we just don't. So if you're selling to the small company world, you have to be able to, from our perspective, understand what's going on in a small company, which means you have to be able to crawl the websites, extract the information, and we do that with AI. Okay? Again, overview page. I'll move through this fairly quickly. So we're looking at updates right now. For example, here's a story from today from Microsoft. I just click on it, and it'll bring up the news. Notice the top of the screen here. I can add a news event to a calendar. I can like the news. Liking is important. As you receive news for us, we want to know if it's relevant. Is the right news for you? So we capture that, and we capture your responses. And what we do with them, and I'm going to click on the little funnel, and what this is bringing up is what we call a trigger chart. Okay, so we find news. The news is based on sales triggers, the things that matter to your business. So for example, mergers and acquisitions, new offerings, hiring, and recruiting. We also keep track of your likes. So if you aren't aware of the news that's going to matter to you, you just pick all the triggers. 14 triggers come with the product. Pick them all, and as you receive news, you say, hey, this is good. This is something that is important to me. This gives me the reason to engage with the customer. We'll keep track, and over time, it's going to really reinforce what you've already learned. Okay? In addition to news, again, that's our strength. It is news. In addition to news, we do the homework for the salesperson. So we give them the when and the why to call, and then we do their homework. All the things every salesperson is supposed to do either doesn't do or doesn't have the time. You know, who's gotten a call with someone saying, hey, you know what do you guys do? If you're like me, I usually almost hang up. So we do the homework. So here, I'm looking at Salesforce.com as the company I picked. And very quickly, I have all the information about Salesforce.com. We can do YouTube videos, slide shares there also. We'll do Twitter feeds, et cetera. Again, background information on the company. Clicking on the People tab, again, important part, right? So company information, people information. So, and I can sort my people information by role, right? And this is probably the worst kind of live demo just to do something, but I'll click on a person, and we will see what it brings up. Or not if it's slow. Hello, 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 hello. Okay, I'm not going to waste time. But yeah, you can click on individuals. So again, company information, people information, all the social connections right here. So you started with a story, you started with the news. Now I know when, now I know why to call. Now tell me about the company. Competitors, we also make an attempt identifying competitors. This is one of the parts of the product that we haven't been as successful in using AI for. So we do this by hand. And then finally, we have family tree capability, which I'll just show you quickly, since we're running out of time. But what family tree is very good for is really account management, good to understand the whole account. Gauging covers over 2 million companies. We crawl literally millions of websites. And again, a mobile web version, mobile version are both free. Gauging for Salesforce is our paid product, fully integrated with Salesforce. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So maybe you can rewind and tell us the problem you're trying to solve. Like you started out saying that you were going to figure out and help customers figure out when to call the prospects. And you showed us some nice integrations, but connect the dots there. How do you use that?
It's a great question, and thank you, research firms. Forrester in February this year came out with a piece that said, if you're the first salesperson to call on a prospect, the first person, you have a 74% chance of closing the deal. We're trying to help someone be that first salesperson. Marketing guy, right? We work on inbound leads, 24% chance of closing the deal, according to Forrester. And reality is, you know it, because if you're not the first person, they're already talking to somebody else. So number one, we help you be first. Number two, we answer the question every salesperson has. I need a reason to engage. I'm always looking for that reason.
I actually have a follow-on question. So coming from HP Software, we've got lots of customers already. How do you tap into the folks? Is there anything we can look at as far as data internally inside of Salesforce, or any past engagements or previous engagements with prospects that informs when the sales rep should contact the person?
It's, again, a good question. So we do two things. We follow existing customers. So if you're in Salesforce, we operate at the account level, the account leads, opportunity, and contacts. So if they're already a customer, you can see it right there, and the news becomes that trigger to say, let me re-engage, let me upsell. Okay, we also use the same technology to prospects. You turn it around and say, okay, I want to find companies in San Francisco in the last 30 days in the high-tech world that have had a M&A transaction, and I'll produce the entire list of companies, which becomes a prospect list.
OK. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
The demo gods are sometimes cruel, so unfortunately, login problems cost him a little bit of time, but I think he recovered pretty well. Next contestant is Switch Merge, Andrew Angus. There you go.
Cool. Hello, I'm Andrew Angus. I'm the co-founder of Switch Merge. Switch Merge is a personalization platform for video. We allow users to merge data from their CRM or MAP right into a video. In short, we are mail merge, but for video. But before I dig in, let's step back for a minute. Last night, I was lucky enough to sit beside the CEO of FounderBeat, Matt Marshall, at dinner. We had a great conversation, and he offered me one suggestion and one piece of advice. The suggestion was that I meet with a public speaking coach today before the presentation. I did not have enough time, so we're going to have to stumble through. I was not able to take his piece of advice. I did take his second piece of advice, that was to tell a story. So let's step back and talk about Switch Merge and how we got here. Before I co-founded Switch Merge with Rebecca Lee, I had a video production company. Over the past 7 years, we've worked with huge clients like Facebook, LinkedIn, Amazon. The client list is pretty impressive. But one of our most impressive stories is from one of our most boring and smallest clients. Please meet Jellyfish Freight Management. As marketers, I'm sure you are incredibly excited about a forward-looking third-party logistics firm, and probably astounded that their video was able to garner 620 views. It was at 617 last night, so we're getting some good traction. However, this video did one thing that was incredibly successful. They used this video to close an $800,000 a year reoccurring deal. And they did that with email, We didn't help them do that. We released the video to them. The next day, they sent that to a bunch of cold prospects. Person watched the video, called them. Within 7 days, that $800,000 a year deal was closed. They still only have 620 views, so you'd probably get fired if that's what you did in your job. But it worked because of the email part. So we looked at how we could help our clients better use video as part of their email marketing campaigns. So over the past 18 months, we have incubated and grown SwitchMerge inside my video production company. 4 months ago, we officially launched as a separate business, and we've just started fundraising this week. The best way to see SwitchMerge and understand how it works is in action. So what we can do is personalize video, specific for people like Kobe or Rama.
But for video, using SwitchMerge, marketers and salespeople can take what they know about a lead in their customer relationship management or marketing automation
Can we
platform.
do the
Merge
scale
in
so
that
it's easy
person's
for
name,
me?
title, insert their photo, or even show
sorry,
them the
I need to
ROI
stop
of
that
purchasing their
video.
product. The automated process works for 1, 1,000, or 1 million leads, and it works right inside the tools marketers and salespeople already use. Engagement is automatically tracked and allows them to be smarter in their follow-up. For example, you can create and email a personal video to potential investors right inside Salesforce.com. We are currently fundraising. We would like to meet and share our success to date. It all leads to just one question.
So this is a campaign that we're using as part of our fundraising efforts. You know, there's a video for Todd here as well. Carolyn, you were not on the list before, and I could not get it done in time. So it's a really effective way to personalize campaigns. We have done testing. We had a 268% increase in engagement from personalized campaign versus standard video campaign. Those campaigns are sent out of Marketo, Eloqua, or Pardot. All that data is passed right back into those services. And in summary, we help demand gen marketers who care about data to increase engagement with their email marketing campaigns and do things that people have never seen before. Thank you.
Well, kissing up to the judges, name-checking judges, always a good thing.
Oh, and check your email, except for Carolyn. You have the video now.
So pretty cool. So what's in terms of the video, there's obviously sort of the creative element that goes into it. So how much effort goes on to sort of your team to actually do the professional services around creating a video that actually matters to even put personalization into it?
Right, so there's, we can produce the video for our clients, so it's an end-to-end service, but that is a separate company, not a part of SwitchMerge. So that's a separate business, and then we can take assets our clients already have and use those professional services team that I have to rework it, or we can train third parties to produce that content. So the platform is independent of the creative, and we can take creative that we produce if a client wants end-to-end, or take content from others.
I think this is smart because people are just multitasking and just distracted more than ever. I'm wondering though, like when I get a mail merge, you can kind of tell that you've done the same thing for Kobe and Todd and myself. How do you balance that mass personalization, which is almost an oxymoron?
Yeah, so in order to pitch and for people to be excited, we say that we do lots of things like pull in your photo from LinkedIn, we can do graphs, and we can pull in your title. And I think that's good for an investor pitch to show that like it does some more stuff. But the reality is if you just put someone's name, it's really simple, it's really subtle, it increases the click-through rate and engagement. And so far, those simple campaigns have got the metrics that we need without being like, hey, look, we can do 19 different fields throughout this video, and then it becomes a really bad idea.
All right. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for our early stage contestants. All 4 of them now have gone up. I think we're going to have on screen here, yes, there you go. If you want to vote for one of these, you can go to the URL there, which I think takes you into the Bizbo app. Is that correct? No. Okay, I'm not quite sure what that URL is, but you can text. Yes, you can. That URL does work. Okay, the Bizbo guy's shaking his head no, but Amy says yes. Try it. See what happens. Try that URL. You can also send a text to 415-653-7787 and include the code for the company that you want to vote for. Or if you have the Bizzabo app, I'm just going out on a limb here. There's a poll in there? Yes, which you can answer. OK, thumbs up to that. Excellent. We all agree. And it really works. OK, so we'll just leave that up for another couple seconds. We're going to welcome our next stage of contestants, the mid stage. We have 5 in this set, and we will start with Blue Nose, Don McLennan.
Let me make sure that I'm logged in. We got a lot of security in our product, so that's going to make me re-authenticate. And do that very quickly. So Blue Nose enables software as a service companies, particularly B2B software as a service companies, to do a better job of customer retention and growth, because growth can come from existing customers as much as it can from acquiring new. I'm going to share with you 5 key capabilities that are in our application. So the building block of our application is a 360-degree view of each and every customer of yours. And so I'm going to go to Barnes & Noble. I'm going to show you what that profile looks like. We integrate from applications like Salesforce that would have a sales CRM history, billing applications like Zuora or NetSuite, support applications like Zendesk. We pull in deep usage data. We fuse this all together, and so when you're interacting with a customer in a role like customer success or retention marketing or upsell, you've got this profile at your fingertips, and you can understand what that account is worth. You might understand, for example, how it is they're adopting your system in very detailed terms. All right? How much are they worth? Who's touching them across touch points like Marketo and Salesforce? And we can even take this down to the end user level to understand across dozens, if not hundreds of end users in that licensed account, specifically what is their usage pattern. Okay? So how do you know which customers you should be talking to? Second capability we've got is an early warning system. And so you've got a line of sight on which customers need your attention, thanks to a variety of tools that we have, from basic alerting to predictive analytics that score the risk of a customer's churn. So for example, if we're worried about Belk because an alert has been fired, we get a thumbnail sketch of what I've been up to lately with respect to usage, health score, which is being computed on a continuous basis. I also have a line of sight into my renewals revenue and how much of that is at risk. So for example, if I've got customers that are going to renew in the next 90 days, which of those might be scored as red, in which case I want to do an intervention. That leads to the third capability of our product, which is playbooks. So if you're in customer success and you have a set of assigned accounts, you can manage customers according to playbook templates. For example, what are the best practices to get a customer onboarded? What are the best practices to manage an escalation? What are the best practices to take them through a renewal process? Fourth capability that we've got is something we call intelligent campaigns, because as a customer success manager, as an account manager, you only have so many hours in the day. So if you've got 50 or 100 assigned accounts, there's a lot of people you're not able to talk to at a moment in time. So let's look at some of the capabilities we have around campaign design. So we're giving you tools to reach the entire user base by forming interesting criteria and targeted conditions related to that 360-degree profile. So in this case, for example, when I have an active account and they're healthy and their renewal is in the next 3 months, I might also want to start targeting them with key messages. So I might put them into a Marketo campaign for the sake of nurturing them. I might tag them as an upsell suspect and then be able to report on search on that. So now we're taking all this rich information that we have about each and every company and each and every individual user inside that company, and we're forming targeting criteria that can cause those users to be enrolled in a marketing automation campaign that's being run elsewhere. Okay? Last thing I want to show is the ability to understand a customer base in segmented terms. So in addition to knowing who we should be talking to today, both through our customer success team and through nurture campaigns, what can we understand about our customer base that may help us optimize for how we do better retention and growth at a macro level? So for example, these are some very basic charts about our application. We're looking at annual recurring revenue, and it's filtered or it's sorted by industry. So this is our book of business on an annualized basis across these industries we might be selling to. Potentially a very different story, though, when we start thinking about what is the mix of customers with respect to their health. Do we have some high and low performing industries where we're doing really well versus we have a lot of at-risk customers and what might be the root cause? Similarly, you're seeing annual recurring revenue by tier. A lot of SaaS vendors will tier their customer base according to their annual value. And we see a different mix of who's healthy and who's not according to the tier they live in. Okay, so 360-degree view, early warning system to know who you have to mobilize and engage with proactively, playbooks to help manage that process of escalations or onboarding or renewal, intelligent campaigns to reach users you can't get to in your day-to-day work, and finally, segmentation to understand your entire customer base. Thanks very much.
So there's obviously a lot of data there, and I was just wondering, is there a mobile app, or is this intended to sort of be research kind of back at the camp?
Lots of interfaces. I'll cheat and show you the Salesforce interface. So obviously, this information is very valuable to people in their day-to-day roles, be it in account management or sales. And so we're delivering this information to a variety of interfaces. You saw most of the demo in the web application we've built. This is the Salesforce interface. We're also pushing information. This application will run on a tablet, and we're building a mobile app for release in a few months' time.
Okay. Carolyn?
I see that customer success is not necessarily well understood or formally an organization in their company. It can sit in marketing, it can sit in sales. Ultimately, have you run into that challenge, and how have you overcome that?
Yeah, I think customer success sort of lives between those people who beget customer acquisition and those people who may be trying to drive expansion revenue. So the common denominator, as we've seen in customer success, is really trying to engage a customer for the sake of adoption of the application itself. The belief is if we get people to engage and adopt, right, the likely outcome is they'll renew and grow. The differences between any two customer success teams is the degree to which they also focus on revenue generation, for example, capturing the renewal. And because, to your point, this is a pretty early discipline, we see some variability in that case. All the information is relevant to understand what is the business value that would justify a renewal conversation. Kind of depends on whether that's innate to your role or whether that's a sister team which we can enable in turn.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Our next contestant is Jetlore. Please welcome Eldar Sadikov. Right.
Hello, everybody. My name is Eldar Sadikov. I'm the CEO of Jetlore. We, the founders, dropped out of Stanford PhD program 3 years ago, and we're on a mission to reinvent the way online retailers engage with their consumers in email. We've come a long way. Let me show you. The online retail industry is a $300 billion business in US alone. It's over $1 trillion worldwide. And 20 to 30% of this industry is driven by email. As we've heard today, email is the most personal marketing channel, delivering the highest ROI. If used properly, it can drive up to 50% of this retail revenue. However, retailers do little more than bombard their users with more email. Jetlore is about making email marketing more effective rather than increasing volume. Our mission is to create email 2.0 experience for retailers. In fact, e-commerce players put a lot of technology already in place to showcase the best-selling, freshest, and most relevant products on their homepage, the forefront of their online store. Yet when they send an email, it looks like a static brochure. 60% off sounds great, but on what? Is it in my size? Is what I want even in stock? Users are likely to ignore emails like this and forget about them. If it works to put your best merchandise at the forefront of your online store, why can't you do the same thing in email? It turns out that it's trickier than it sounds. A marketer scheduling a campaign for Monday has to select featured merchandise days before the campaign for a gazillion different segments. If the user opens the email on Tuesday, products may already be sold out, sale prices may have changed, and most products are irrelevant to the user. Emails like this are lost opportunities for retailers. Eventually, they become white noise in the user's inbox. Users are less likely to open such emails and may opt out altogether. But what if instead of static emails, we could send out emails driven by up-to-the-minute data, like current inventory trends and real-time user activity? At Jetlore, we've created a system that is easy to plug in, and it eliminates complex segmentation logic. Marketers don't even have to choose or design creatives for their merchandise. They continue sending email the same way they always have. with one growth-driving difference. The featured products for each user are rendered at the time of email open, not email sent. In the meantime, Jetlore builds holistic user profiles based on real-time user activity online, like clicks, search queries, or purchases. So that email we send out on Monday, it's created dynamically when the user opens the email on Tuesday. At this point, Jetlore uses real-time user activity and real-time product performance to determine the best products for the user. And what if the email is open on Wednesday? The user will see a different set of products based on her latest activity and latest product performance. The results have been astounding. We're working with some of the top-tier online retailers. I'll keep the names confidential for now, but I guarantee you shop with at least one of them. We've averaged double-digit lifts across the board, CTR, conversion, revenue. Our top-performing case achieves 100% revenue lift. All because we eliminated the need to guess. No longer is there a need to saturate inboxes with irrelevant inventory. It's not often that you can work less and make more, but that is in fact what Jetlore has done. We'll be releasing detailed case studies of these e-commerce success stories in the next quarter. We'll be giving priority platform access to GrowthBeat followers. You can sign up for updates at jetlore.com. Thank you. We're Jetlore, and we're evolving email for e-commerce.
So there are a lot of other players in the market that try to do similar things. And how do you go about in your sales and marketing trying to move through all that clutter and really differentiate yourself? Because a lot of people are also kind of touting personalization within email and other channels. What are you guys doing to sort of differentiate yourself?
I think that there are two sets of players that could be considered competitive. If you're referring to personalization suites, the reach relevance, Serotonin type of players, I think their value proposition is very unique to e-commerce. They focused on on-site experience. They focused on driving recommendations to products when the user's viewing a specific product. Their connection to email is typically connected to triggered emails. Things like, when I purchase something, then I get a confirmation email, I'll get recommendations for that product. Or if I abandon an item in my shopping cart, then I'll get an email and I'll get recommendations for that. But there's nothing on the market that actually addresses regular newsletters that retailers send out weekly or daily that will leverage real-time product performance on what's selling, what's not selling, what's out of stock, what's getting high CTRs, what the user is actually doing, and leveraging the entire historical trail of that user. There is nothing like that on the market. The closest stuff that goes into real-time daily newsletters will be dynamic A/B testing engines that will swap different creatives based on the context of the opening context for emails.
If the recipient has is answering on a cell phone with a slow connection, or they have no internet connection, what does the email look like? Can you populate that?
If the user is actually, the user has to have an internet connection, otherwise you won't be able to read the email. So if you've been able to download the email, that means, of course, if you downloaded the email without downloading any graphics or anything like that, you won't be able to see anything, which is pretty much the case with
many
email
mobile
will look awful
email
anyways
clients
from any retailer right now. But if you have internet connection and you download it and open the email, then you'll be able to see it based on offline results, yeah.
OK. Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next contestant is Lean Plum. Please welcome Momchil. I'm going to let you say your own last name because I'm going to mess it up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Momchil. I'm a co-founder and the CEO of Lean Plum. Last week, we actually announced our $4.8 million Series A led by Shasta Ventures. And before I start, just wanted to say thanks to VentureBeat for covering us and for the great coverage. So at Lean Plum, we enable product managers and marketers to unlock the full potential of their mobile app by optimizing the app's engagement, retention, and monetization. And how do we do that? We provide marketing automation, A/B testing, and analytics into a single, fully integrated optimization solution. So today, I'm going to show you a simple use case that our customers are solving for with mobile apps. It's user abandonment. And the solution is push notifications. And now, if you hear push notifications, you're probably used to the standard blast model where you basically schedule blasts in the future, and they go out to a lot of your users. You might even have a rule of thumb, something like, I'll do 2 blasts a week so that I don't annoy my users too much. And what I'll show you today with Leanplum is a completely different way to actually send push notifications. It's a way that is going to be personalized, and it's going to be based on the actual actions that users are taking. So let me show you how this actually works. So this is a mobile app that I've got here. It's a shopping app, and I can click on the item that I want to be able to purchase. I can click on Add to Cart, but let's say that in this particular case, I actually forget to check out. And what I'll do with Leanplum is actually schedule a push notification to get sent out to remind the user to check out. So let's see if this works. So I'm going to click Add to Cart, and then I'm going to exit the app. So I've actually set it up here in the dashboard to send out the push notification within 7 seconds. So here you go. So this is the push notification. And now when I opened it, it actually sent me directly into the shopping cart. And this is thanks to Leanplum's ability to actually do deep linking directly into the app itself. And so we've set this up. Now, there's a lot of things that we actually did an educated guess for. For example, how much time do I actually wait? 7 seconds is just for the demo, by the way. Typically about half a day or to a day, up to a day. We also guessed the text that we actually show to the user, and also where do we send them when they open the push. And so with Leanplum, we actually allow you to take the guesswork out of the equation, and we allow you to run A/B tests really easily. And so here's an example A/B test I've set up. I've got 3 variants for this push notification. A third of the users are actually not going to get the push notification. And I'm doing this so that I can have a baseline and see how much revenue impact I'm actually bringing in. The other third is where I'm going to get the push notification sent out. And the last third is actually sending out the push notification with a 10% off coupon. So let's see what this looks like in terms of analytics here. This is our analytics dashboard, and it's built from the ground up with A/B testing and marketing automation in mind. We have a funnel that I've set up here, and you can clearly see the steps are item, add to cart, and checkout. And the blue item is the one that's actually the variant that I'm testing with the push notification. So great work. It's actually giving me a lift on the checkout. But the other more interesting thing here is that we also track revenue, and we're seeing a lift of 23% on revenue. So this marketing automation campaign, I can actually show direct proof that it's bringing revenue for the app. OK? And so we've seen the analytics here. So I want to show you one more thing since we have a little bit of time. This is something that you might actually think it's not possible to do with apps. It's pretty prevalent on the web. It's the ability to edit the actual checkout screen and optimize the call to action. And so with Leanplum, we've actually built the first WYSIWYG editor for mobile apps that allows a product manager and marketer to edit the app on their phone, directly on their phone without the need of a developer. So how do I do that? So I can actually go in and double tap on the app. I can go and edit the UI for the app. And now if I click on a button, I can, for example, change that button text. I can make it a little bit more informative. So I can say, proceed to checkout. Great. And I'm also going to change the color here. So I'm going to go ahead into the options, change the background color to blue. And of course, that also means I have to change the text color as well. So I'm going to change that to white. OK, great. So now, as you see, I was able to make a modification to the UI of the app right on my phone without having to go through the developer. And by the way, this is something that we haven't actually shown publicly before. So it's the first time we're showing this to people right here on the stage. So with Leanplum, I've shown you a simple example of shopping cart abandonment and user abandonment, and also the ability to edit UI. And those are 2 very simple use cases, but it turns out it's actually really hard to do these on mobile. And with Leanplum, with the marketing automation, A/B testing, and analytics, we make it simple for product managers and marketers to do not just these use cases, but hundreds of them. So, and what is the end goal with our product? The end goal is that we want to allow all of you to be more data-driven and iterate quicker. We work with some of the leading apps like Gree and Hotwire and Vanilla. And it takes 90 seconds to put our SDK into a mobile app. Then you can get started with a free trial. It's actually a 30-day free trial. And with that, I want to thank you all for the opportunity to present Leanplum to you.
I could see product managers, product marketers, designers, developers, like anyone using this. Who have you been focusing on reaching, and how have you found your customers?
Yeah, so it's typically the product manager and the marketer that are really interested in this product. It's typically an organizational challenge within these companies to have the abilities for a business person to be able to do their job the best. And they're also the people who are actually tasked with optimization. They're tasked with increasing engagement, retention, all of these core metrics. So these are the customers that we target. It's both with inbound marketing, just PR, and also just outbound sales. Yeah.
So how are you managing customer behavior outside of the apps? So say, for example, I'm shopping on one of the apps, and I'm browsing to a product, and then I abandon, and I convert on web. Do you sort of take that into account to not sort of actually get sort of an abandoned cart email?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've actually built this platform across multiple channels. So we've got SDKs across a lot of different mobile, but we also have a REST API. So we can directly integrate into the existing shopping cart algorithms that you have. We're working on more integrations as well. But this would be the best way would be through some sort of integration directly on the back end to make sure you get that.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next contestant is Mobile ROI. Please welcome Steve Rowe.
Hi, everybody. Steve Rowe at Mobile ROI. Really great to be here. Thank you, judges, and thanks, VentureBeat, for having us today. So the problem we sought to solve was that mobile right now seems very random, seems very impersonal, and it's just not the kind of connections you should be able to make. The tools are not available in order to do that. It's very much like going through airport security and suddenly they've pulled you aside and the person right in front of you for a hand swab. It just seems too random. So we said we could fix that, and that's what Mobile ROI is out to do. So a great example is also about bringing in context. So Kobe, champion sprinter in college. You love posting pictures of sneakers. So wouldn't it be great right now for me to hand you some sneakers and have an experience where we could run around? But this is not the context. So although you might like that, the context of judging on stage, and what it might look like of me trying to bribe you, we'll talk about a different time in a different context in order to actually provide that kind of experience to you. So what Mobile ROI does, it's a system of engagement and it's software that helps personalize and bring context to the experience across all channels. Not just mobile, but certainly in a mobile-first world. So we're doing this for some really great brands right now already, as we were in stealth and just came out a couple months ago. BMW, American Express, MasterCard, some big media brands like Gannett, Fox TV, Hearst, retail brands like Lacoste and Calvin Klein. So we've been off to a really great start, and one of the top 5 US newspapers is already seeing 400% increases in engagement, and also really driving monthly revenue out of that. So we're marrying customer data across channels with real-time situational insights and signals. We're personalizing things, we're making them contextually relevant, and then we're automating the experience for marketers and for product managers to enable them to actually take advantage of those mobile moments. So what I'm going to show you here is a live demo of the consumer experience. So instead of just showing what the marketer is going to see, and we've got some dashboards, and hopefully we have time to get to those, but I want to show you the mobile experience. So imagine here on the left-hand side, you can see, I'm just going to hit refresh so you see it's live, and also on the right-hand side. On the left, this is a consumer app that a female, in this case, Emily, will be the demo. On the right-hand side, you're going to see the app for the associate, the person in a retail store. Now this works across automotive, CPG, many other categories, but we want to show you a retail example to bring this to life. So the consumer is at home, gets an email, builds a wish list on their website, and all the things that they love and enjoy. And it isn't during rush hour that they get a message from the store, but it's on Saturday afternoon when she's kicking around with friends. She gets a message, and it launches out the app, and she looks through her wish list, and she says, oh, these are things that are in a store nearby to me right now. I'm going to add those to my fitting room and say, I'm going to set an appointment to go into the store a little bit later, maybe tomorrow morning. So I've now made an appointment. What you'll see in a second is on the right-hand side, within the retailer app, they're going to actually see that this happened. So then as I walk the next morning and I'm walking into the store, I'm just going to turn on Bluetooth to show how this would react to beacon technology coming in. And as I walk into the store, it's going to recognize me and understand that I've actually made an appointment. Here you can see the appointment that I've made And as a retailer, I'm just going to use the arrow to show what the retailer's seeing. The retailer's seeing all sorts of information about Emily. She's seeing her social profile. She's seeing the amount of visits that she's been here. She's seeing what she saved to the fitting room, offers that she might have saved, et cetera. And you can see on the left-hand side now, as I've walked in, Emily's welcomed. And my app changes with the context to just that store, so just that particular location. And I can look at my fitting room and maybe change it, and I can go through some other offers that are going on as a consumer. Now, also for the associate, when I've got them in the fitting room, I know a lot about them. I can bring in things to that fitting room that they might be most interested in. I've seen if they're a loyal customer, if they're a social media influencer. I can go right in when they're done in that fitting room, and I'm going to finish off Emily's order. I'm going to request payment from her, so completely contactless, removing friction from the process. Emily views the payment, says, yep, that's the credit card I want to use. Emily has now gone through the entire experience in a very a quick manner and frictionless. So it's about context, removing friction from the experience, and connecting with that consumer in ways that are most relevant across the entire platform. And we're running out of time, so I'm not going to be able to show you the dashboard, but it's really about an alert-based system that's providing, looking at trends, looking at information that's going on, looking at the high water marks and low water marks of your system that you've set for different KPIs and bringing those to the forefront.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Sure.
I think this does a great job of bringing that contextual data into the fold for a marketer. I'm wondering what your dependency is on these beacons and other technologies that are in store that's sort of still a developing space.
Sure.
And what can you do without those, if anything?
Yeah, sure. So, the way the platform was built was to really make sure that no matter what new technology came in, we were able to put it on top of the platform. So we're integrating with a lot of different systems, but in other words, we had this before beacons got hot. And as soon as beacons came in, we were able to integrate that as just part and just another piece of that journey that we can connect with the customer on. So beacons are great, it might be Google Glass in 6 months, and it might be something else. But it's been built by essentially Wall Street banking technologists to aggregate tons of data and be able to integrate with systems that are already in place. So we're not asking you to replace any systems. What we're doing is plugging into the technology and the systems like CRM, other things you might have on the back end to put in a lean layer of engagement in order to orchestrate that experience.
So it looks like then you're focused on brick and mortar. Is it SMBs or are you looking to do? Is this a large enterprise sale that then they adopt and they have to use your sort of skinned mobile app or what?
Right. We're generally bringing this in as an enterprise solution for major brands. So if you think about a BMW and all the different dealerships that they have and all the different orchestration that they need to have between themselves at corporate and also the local dealerships talking, so it could be franchise. But it's also not just about physical. This is about email campaigns and web campaigns and other things you're doing. So while we looked at mobile first, the focus for us very much was on the whole journey. And that takes place, right now, everything's in silos. We're breaking the silos and trying to make it one experience for the user.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next and last, we have Ninja Metrics with Dimitri Williams. Come on up.
Afternoon, my name is Dimitri Williams. I'm the CEO of Ninja Metrics. I'm also a professor at the University of Southern California, so I'm going to switch hats a couple times on this. I'm going to give you a little bit of science, I'm going to give you a little bit of demo. I'm going to cheat and have a little bit of video, but I'm not going to cheat too much because I am going to talk over it. You need a little bit of background of the science so that when I show you the demo, you'll actually believe that what we say is for real. So I'm going to start off with some ideas about human nature. Anytime human beings get together, their mirror neurons fire. If I smile at you or I frown at you, you are likely to do the same thing back at me. The same kind of influence and impression happens whether we're talking about ideas or moods or actions. And until now, the idea behind that kind of going viral has simply meant, how do we get to 100 million of something happening? How do we, see why something happens at really large scale and other things happen at small scale? That can be kind of fun to look at and think about, but it can also be kind of distracting. There is actual science to be had here. This comes right out of our labs and our research. We can do this now locally. We can go down at the local level and we can see these behaviors and we can see how one person impacts another over time. you can find influence and action at the very important local level. Here's a group of people 10 years ago. Look at the size of their nodes, and now look at it again. The size of the node shows you who got fat. And what's funny about this is that fat people got fat together. It was viral. Even fat is social. Careful who you take out to lunch. So the question is, if we can measure fatness spreading, what else can we measure? Can we measure spending? That's what everybody here cares about. Yes, this is our core IP. We can, in fact, find the ripple effects at the local level for who is going to spend, who's going to get other people to spend. While working on projects for the NSA and the CIA, we developed technology that will, at the local level, in a hard dollar value, tell you when one person does something, will that influence others, even a couple degrees out. We call this phenomenon social value. It is a big deal. It is transparent, it is provable, it is testable. It is not an abstract score based on tweeting. It is based on bottom line behaviors. It is provable. And in our predictive models, it winds up being about 80 to 90% accurate. It accounts for anywhere between 5 and 80% of activity, depending on what sector we're talking about. And someone has radically changed my screen proportions. This is Katana. This is our system. And what it does is it measures first a social graph of behaviors in a system and says, here are all my users. And maybe you're the green node. What's going to happen? Are you going to radiate out? Are you going to impact those other people around you? And if you do, that makes it a very different way to think about the lifetime value that's out there. Are you going to be just a big spender, or are you going to cause other people to spend? And if you could break out LTV into those components, suddenly you have power that's never existed before. Whoa, somebody has messed up my screen size. Here we go. This is a range of actual users. And what we say here is that this person is going to spend $55. They're going to spend an additional $24 because of influence on them, influenceability. So that means that their LTV is $79. The best LTV model in the world in a predictive sense will say this person will spend $79. We can do that too. It's a pretty cool thing to be able to do. But what we can do that's never been possible before is say what their social value is. How much more activity will this person create across their network? So their actual value in the system is $246. And if we put next to this another statistic, another churn probability, another predictive analytic, all of a sudden you've got context for who matters. So here's the value proposition for knowing social value. Smarter acquisition, smarter retention, smarter monetization. Here's the obvious part about retention. How about monetization? You want to work through these people, you want to run some kind of campaign, you set up the cut points. I want to reach everybody who's female and in Canada with a social value over X, a churn probability under Y, whatever your criteria are, and I want to send them off to do Lean Plum. I want to send them off to push notification. I want to send them off to email and I run a campaign. And then I want to see what happens. Well, now you have A/B testing with social for the first time ever. Here's the baseline, here's the average, and here are what everybody spent, and here are their total values. And for the first time ever, you could separate out not just what happened to the person who, say, got the coupon, but what happened to their friends. Was there a ripple out? And that's what this column A shows. So you get to see real bottom line impact on anything you want to try. And we're agnostic to what the CRM tool is. We support everybody. Now, of special interest to folks in this room is acquisition. Pretty cool that you can now go back and tie the spending to any particular acquisition channel, and you can get the ROI on your effort. Everybody should be doing this. I see almost no one doing it, but you should all be doing it. We can now also tie the social value by channel. So which advertisement brought in the big spenders? Which advertisement brought in the big influencers? Now, you go back and you find out which appeal really worked, and you got the art and the data to make incredibly powerful, smart decisions for the first time. With that, happy to take questions. Thank you.
For I guess the data, do individual users have to opt in, or there's so many questions I don't know where to begin, but that's.
Catch me backstage. This is one of the ones I like to get. So this is a B2B company, but we service B2C customers. So we're talking to people, say, in the video game industry or an e-commerce company. We're accessing their database, pulling the stuff out and getting intelligence for them. So they have these data points already. The thing you're implying is what about the social network data? In a system like video games, those things are intrinsic. We could build the graph for them. In other places, they have to be connected to Connect or Google Plus or somewhere else to tie the social graph to the actions. We marry those two things together, have the algorithm run. That's what gives us these analytics.
Okay, that's great. Was there another question, Kobe?
Yeah, so one question I do have is, because you're exposing the sort of a lot of the high-value influencers that people have in their CRM. How do you think about sort of helping these folks once they identify those individuals? Like, what do they do to them? Should they even give them an offer? Should they just leave them alone?
The standard way of thinking about this is let's give them a coupon or a discount or a free whatever and see if that ripples out. But this is really kind of B2C thinking. And what this technology opens up is C2C thinking about the relationship from one customer to another. So let's say you're running a coffee shop. You could give that person a discount on coffee. But if you realize they're really the rabble-rouser who brings in all their friends, give them a spot in the back of the store with a couch where they're always having their favorite game playing. The friends will come. They'll spend more time, and guess what? They'll buy more coffee. So it's that kind of somewhat lateral thinking. You have to think about the relationship between the customers. That's the thing that's going to generate the ripple. Yep.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that is it for our contestants. Let me just take a minute to thank our judges, Kobe, Todd, Rama, and Caroline. Thank you very much. You guys can go backstage and huddle now and decide who the winners are. And in the meantime, the rest of you out there can also help decide who the winners are. This time, we double-check this. We know for sure that that URL, biz.bo/0309, it works. It will let you vote. You can text one of the codes below to that phone number. The early stage companies are there, and I think in a minute we'll see the late stage companies again. Or if you don't want to worry about SMS messaging and all these codes and nonsense, use the BizBo app. Very easy to do. Next up, I would like to welcome a very special speaker, our lightning keynote speaker, Jeremiah Aoyang, the one and only. Welcome. Thank you.
Having me.
All right.
Okay, I'm here to bring a lightning talk. So that means you guys got to be the thunder. What kind of noise does thunder make? Let's hear it. What's the thunder? Oh, we got some thunder. Thank you for having me. Let's cue up the slides. I'm here to tell you why the collaborative economy changes commerce and marketing, and maybe not in a good way. And I'm about to tell you 3 things. The first thing I'm going to tell you, that it's invading all aspects of our life and business. The second thing I'm going to tell you is what's causing it. And the last thing I'm going to tell you is how fast it's growing. These graphics and the slides, there's only 2. I just tweeted out a URL. You can download them on SlideShare and no cost. Let's take a look. The collaborative economy. One great way to show how this new economy is emerging is to look at a honeycomb. And a honeycomb is a resilient and an efficient structure in nature, so it best represents what's happening in this peer-to-peer commerce world. Let me take you on a tour. Starting in the orange hexagon, let's take a look at goods. There's 3 things happening here. The first one is people are sharing goods that they already own and using sites like Yerdle and all things that we know about like in eBay. And they're sharing what they already have instead of buying them from marketers. Secondly, we're seeing new kinds of on-demand business models. For example, my children's Legos are rented. Why own them? She's going to grow out of them. We're renting them on Play. And the third thing that we're seeing is the maker movement, where people are creating their own goods instead of buying them from marketers. 3D printers, Tech Shop, and Etsy are all examples of crowd-based business models that create their own goods instead of buying them from marketers. Now that's goods, and we've heard about eBay and Craigslist for over 15 years. The next sector is food. Take a look at that green hex. We're seeing 2 things happening. One is shared food preparation is happening. Startups like Blue Apron or new forms like Munchery are emerging where they're sending new types of food to your home or on demand. You don't have to prepare it. It's shared in a shared kitchen somewhere else. And secondly, we're seeing that people are turning their own home kitchens into restaurants instead of going to traditional restaurants. Cookening.com and Feastly enable people to turn their own homes into restaurants, and they invite strangers over to eat instead of going to that local store. The food space is quickly changing. What about in services? That's the blue hexagon. And there's 2 breakpoints there. There's personal services and business services. Certainly, we've heard of TaskRabbit, but there's personal services for just about everything. I recently learned about the startup called Ease, which is marijuana on demand. We've also seen bodyguards on demand, massages on demand. My own virtual assistant is from Zirtual. She does all my executive and scheduling, and it makes it very easy for me to tap personal services. On the business side, you probably heard of Elance or Odesk, where you can tap a workforce of workers instead of going to a traditional management company. But we're seeing a wide range of new types of services emerge in these marketplaces. For example, if you need a PR person on demand, you can go to airpr.com. It's like TaskRabbit for PR pros. If you need a community manager just for a few months or just for a few hours a week, you could go to cloudpeeps.com and get a community manager on demand. We're seeing personal services and business services emerge in every single category, so you don't have to hire full-time workers or hire traditional agencies or consulting firms. Services is being disrupted. What about transportation? I'd like to see a show of hands. Has anybody used an Uber, Lyft, Sidecar, or BlaBlaCar in the last week? Raise your hands. Okay, so basically nobody. Actually, there's almost every single hand I saw come up. Now, to break it down, we're seeing two distinct business models. The first one is in shared transportation vehicles, like car sharing peer-to-peer, and also boat and even airplane sharing. And then we're seeing rides as a service emerge, where people will drive you to your destination. Both Uber, Lyft, and Sidecar all announced today they have a new carpooling feature similar to BlaBlaCar today. So we're seeing lots of rapid movements in this space. Let's take a look at space, that green hexagon. Personal space. I know we've all heard about Airbnb, but now we're seeing startups like Roost emerge, where people are sharing their closets or garages with extra space. So personal space can be shared across all parts of our home. And on the business front, you don't need to have a very expensive lease. Renting a business here in San Francisco, an office building, is very expensive. You can just get a spot on demand with on-demand workplaces, and even co-working spots. Space is being democratized and changing the landscape of real estate business as we know it. And the last hex here is the one around money. And we're seeing three things happening here. The first one is peer-to-peer lending. LendingClub.com was launched around 2008 at the trough of the recession. What happened in 2008? People were furious at banks. They said, down with the 1%, let's occupy them, up with the 99%. And what Lending Club does is it enables people to lend money to each other, peer-to-peer, rather than going to the bank. It's worth noting that their biggest investor is Google, and they're backing this space. Lending Club has done over $5 billion of loans since 2008. It has a hockey stick growth. Next is crowdfunding. You've heard of Indiegogo, Kickstarter. Let's talk about Kickstarter. Has anybody owned a Pebble watch, that smart watch? A few hands? It's amazing to find out that the Pebble watch actually emerged here before Apple took it to market. The crowd beat Apple to market. And the last aspect of money is cryptocurrencies. The crowd is creating their own currencies. So I just took you on a tour, and in the next honeycomb, I'm adding in new hexes, education, utilities, and even health. People are getting what they need from each other rather than buying it from the marketers in this room. You must pay attention to this market. Now, what's causing this? Let's do the second part of this discussion. Three things. There's societal reasons, a focus on sustainability, increase in population density, or the fact that the first generation that was born with the internet in their hands is now hitting the workforce, the millennials. They were born sharing media and pictures of themselves, and now they're sharing the physical world. Next is the economic triggers. Now we can make money from our assets around us. The recession didn't help either. And we're seeing people, the rise of the micro-entrepreneur or the freelance economy. We can live in this economy and not have to have a traditional boring job in a cube. And the third reason why this is happening, and all these lists are on the top right of that graphic, is the technology enablers. Mobile, social, Internet of Things, apps. And the last thing I want to share is the VCs have invested an incredible amount of money. In the last 7 months, there's been $2.5 billion put into this market. The average funding per month is $330 million per month. That's just this year. The leading investor is Google. So let's look at the last slide. I'm here to tell you that it's growing very quickly. I conducted research with my partners, Vision Critical, a research firm in Vancouver, and we surveyed 90,000 18 and older online adults in US, UK, and Canada. And we asked them about their adoption of these services. And you can see them listed out here. Food's not listed, it was too early. Now, the eBay and Craigslist behavior is dominant and mature. It's in the 30% range, and those are the dark bars that you see. But across the new services around the honeycomb, food, service, space, transportation, the average adoption rate last year in 2013 is 5 to 7%. Last year, it was 5 to 7%. I'm a former Forrester industry analyst, so research is my backbone. I was a founding partner at Altimeter Group. And we also use the same methodology to ask these respondents, what is your adoption in this coming year? And they said across the board in these new services, it's going to double. We are at the start of a brand new market of peer-to-peer commerce. I came here to tell you the collaborative economy is impacting marketing and sales. People are getting what they need from each other in all aspects of their life. There are major things causing it to happen: societal, economic, and technology, which means it's not going away. And 3, it's rapidly growing. Welcome to the collaborative economy. Thank you.